And I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to do a quick retake because once again I forgot to hit the record button. So today is April 27th, 2012, on a Friday. We're celebrating. It's Frothy Friday. To get on the air, I don't care if you want to call me names, call me a douchebag, whatever you got to do. First, you have to open a beer, and then you can call me any name you want to. I'm not going to screen anything. You can FA44. Just look me up, give me a call. I'm going to put you on the air. Once again, yeah, if you want to put me down, go ahead. Because, brother, sticks and stones, baby. We don't teach that in school. So let's start off the show. I'm going to crack open mine. Take a swig. I'm ready to get started. How about you? My stack of crap right here. Get the junk off my desk. Now, I've told you guys we've been on the air for about a week now. I think I've gotten everything perfected. I'm not exactly sure about that, but you know, as we go on, we'll work out the kinks, and I'm going to get more guests on. And a little bit about me: I'm a true conservative. You know, Republicans, Democrats, it's just a party. What do you stand for? Are you a globalist or a sovereign? I am a sovereign. I am a true conservative. I don't take any crap from anyone. I'll carry my gun on my hip, and I'll fight you to the end. I have, just like Darren Steen, famous YouTube health guru, he has his 3 pillars of health. I've got my 3 pillars of Constitution. And that is, in your county, you must have a constitutional sheriff, constitutional judges, and constitutional commissioners. Then and only then, and ladies and gentlemen, it has to start there. It's obvious that at the federal level, everything's corrupt. At the state level, it's 75% corrupt. When you get down to the county level, it's only about half. And we have the power to change that half, because at the county level, at least, I know your votes count. And it's time for you to get involved. If you're not a committeeman yet, you need to get your name on the ballot. Most places it doesn't cost anything. If it costs anything anywhere, it's probably like $5 for your filing fee. Okay? Just put your damn name on the ballot. Represent your precinct. All you got to do is go up to the Board of Elections, say, I would like to run for committeeman. Okay? Then you fill out the paperwork, and pretty soon you're on the ballot. Now, in most cases, you're not going to have anyone to run against you. I remember I taught a group of 9-12 people how to run for committeeman, and it was chaos, but at the same time I had to chuckle. Because I'm sitting there in the Republican reorganization meeting, and all these Republicans were getting pissed off because they were getting beat by the 9-12 people. They learned how to run for committeemen. They learned how to be leaders in their communities, and they've been a tremendous help to the Republican Party here where I live. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I will stand up and admit that I did it, and I don't give a damn what you think. Because I'm the real thing, brother. And look out. Because we're going to make this country great again. One county at a time. That's what this show is all about. Learning how to get involved in your government. Learning how to be a leader. As a committeeman, you will get together with people in your precinct. Don't scare the shit out of them. Excuse my language. I didn't mean to swear. I'm trying to keep this a family show. Don't scare the hell out of them. Don't tell them about what your beliefs are on 9/11, things like that. Okay? Because you're just going to scare people away. What you do is you've got to warm these people up, because they don't know anything about in politics as you are. Okay? So you've got to start light. You've got to find common ground. You've got to find things you agree on. Okay? Now, I don't know. I've been friends with a lot of you for a long time. And I don't know that 9/11 was an inside job. I don't know. I know I don't trust my government. I know six of the nine people assigned to the hearings wanted new hearings because they were lied to. I do know that. But were they lied because of a matter of national security? What? I don't know. Okay? That's not my business. I'm not a congressman yet. I'm not a senator yet. I'm just a guy with a microphone trying to get the real conservatives together to fix this country. We can deal with that stuff another day. Okay? And I know some of you are very passionate. And that's fine. But you don't want to scare the hell out of people. Okay? So let's take things a little bit at a time. Now, it is Frothy Friday. Take another drink. I had a scare with my son today, so forgive me I didn't get to prepare. My son was taken to the hospital today. I had to take off work, but he's okay. And everything's fine, and I don't really care to get into it. So forgive me if I didn't have time to prep today. I'm going to wing it. But I want to talk about, okay, my buddy Todd is online. And I hope my buddy Todd can hear me, because I'm going to have you on, brother. Love this guy. Todd is a mainstream Republican. Okay? And Todd's a great guy. He's a biker. He knows his stuff. But he still tends to parrot the mainstream media, Republicans. And I heard a talk show host the other day say that we need to get rid of the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, stuff like that. Now this guy is portraying himself as a Republican. What the hell is going on? I'll tell you what's going on. These guys, I told the listeners before, some of you are new, but this is what I've been saying for a long time. These guys are establishment. We are the sovereigns. That's how you can look at this. We're no longer Republicans and Democrats. We are sovereigns. They are establishment. They want a global government. And who can blame them? They're businessmen. You've got China with billions of people. It's a lot more than us. They want to open up the market. They want to sell their product. They want to keep us in line. See, because freedom creates free market. I'm going to be burping a lot too, because this is Frothy Friday, Cheers, brother. Now, that's capitalism. That's real capitalism. You hear these people occupy this and that. These guys don't like, they don't know what they like. But the majority of them don't like capitalism. Well, true capitalism is competition. And we're trying to get rid of competition in schools. We got this anti-bullying thing where you can't bully another student. I say Now, okay. Now, before I go ahead and condone this, I will say I do not condone students bringing weapons into the schools, because only wussies do that, okay? And if there's any kids listening, you are a wussy if you can't fight with your fists. Never mind what I was going to say next. I'm on air. I can't say how I truly feel. But you are a wussy if you can't fight with your fists. If you can't fight with your fists, ask your parents to put you in karate. There's plenty of programs now that will pay for your karate for underprivileged kids. Tell your parents about it. Tell them you really want to go to karate, and then get your ass there. If your dad's a drunk, you're gonna have to ride your bike down there. I'm sorry. I mean, I know how things are, and I'm just putting it bluntly. I put my kids through karate. They know how to handle themselves. My daughter was a brown belt. I didn't want her to have to worry about boys. She was on the football team. She was the best kid on the football team. She made every tackle on defense in one game. I watched that game all the time. And her coaches were amazed. They even put in a call to the middle school coach. And she's a skinny little blonde. So, as I was saying, the anti-bullying thing is a bunch of BS. They don't want you standing up for yourself. They don't want you fighting back. They don't want you getting together with your buddies and beating the crap out of the bully. That's how you gain confidence. But all of this is a side issue. But my buddy Todd, like I said, great guy, biker, Republican, not quite conservative yet, but he has a lot of conservative ideas, and I'm going to have him on. And Todd, your ass better get on here. I want to play these couple clips, especially for Todd, because this has a lot to do with where we presently are. We believe a lot of what's in the media. And I heard that talk show host, I told you, he said, we got to get rid of the Constitution, this and that, to protect ourselves, to be safe. Ben Franklin said, if you give up your liberty for security, you deserve neither. And it's true. You don't deserve it. But you know what? I do. And this is my country too. And I'm tired of you jackasses believing everything you hear. And not you, Todd, but in general, you are a little more smarter than the rest of these people. But a lot of these mainstream Republicans, I can't stand. I wish they'd just go sign up to be a liberal already. Look at Mitt Romney. He's not a conservative. He's a moderate at best. And we're holding our and we're going to hold our noses again and vote for him? Not this guy. And I know a lot of you feel the same way. So I'm going to play a clip. Now this was done by the Alex Jones show. And it tells some of the story. And before I go into that, I want to talk about bacon for breakfast. People didn't eat bacon for breakfast until this man came along. His name is Edward Bernays. And a lot of you listening know who he is. He's a master of deception. This guy is like a used car salesman. Back then he could sell you the shirt off your back and tell you it's new. And you would buy it. You would buy it. I don't care if you didn't have any money in the bank, you would buy it. Because he made you feel like you had to have it. And that's the way the media works today. The establishment, the globalists, they have the best propaganda tool in the world. And they're going to use it on you. And you've got to be able to, you've got to learn to decipher this stuff. You've got to learn to know what the truth is. And that's what we're here for. Not only are we here to educate you, but I'm going one step further than anybody else. I want you to run for office. I want you to grow some cojones and run for office. And I told you, the only thing you need to do is be of age and be a U.S. citizen. You don't need a college education. You don't even need a high school education. Okay? Get on the ballot. If you believe in the Constitution, your Bill of Rights, and you're smart enough to figure all this stuff out, then get your ass up and on the ballot. Alright? This is a motivational show. I want the wussies on my show. If you're a wussy, listen to a couple shows and then go out and do it. If you remain a wussy, don't listen to me anymore. I don't want those people on listening to my show. Without further ado, this is a clip that Alex Jones did, and it gets a little low in some parts. And then I'm going to play another clip, which you're going to be surprised to hear who put this together. And anyway, drink up, guys. It's Frothy Friday. Here's Edward Bernays.
To better understand the current state of modern-day media manipulation, we must first look at the father of propaganda, Edward Bernays. His influence on the 20th century rivaled that of his uncles, Sigmund Freud, as Bernays pioneered the idea of crowd psychology with Freud's psychoanalytical ideas in what would become a new political ideal on how to control the masses. In his 1928 book, Propaganda, Bernays wrote, "If we understand the mechanisms and motives of the group mind, it is now possible to control and regiment the masses according to our will without them knowing it." He called it the engineering of consent and proposed that those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. It was Bernays who introduced the corporate giants to crowd psychology methods and polished techniques to manipulate society. He convinced the population to buy on impulse things they didn't even need by linking mass-produced goods to their own unconscious desires. The tobacco industry hired Bernays to persuade women to take up smoking, and the Alcoa Aluminum Company asked him to drive the campaign for the national fluoridation of our water supply. A consumerist culture was born, and the U.S. government took notice. In addition to famous corporate giants, Bernays also began working for the federal government. They adopted his technique of manufacturing ever-present dangers and then maintaining a constant state of fear to give those in power greater control of what Bernays called the mass mind.
Edward Bernays, who's the father of modern advertising and propaganda, he literally wrote the book Propaganda. Joseph Goebbels, on record, the Nazi propaganda minister, used a lot of his information and twisted it to his own designs. Bernays was the chief psychological warfare expert for more than 20 years, advising the Department of War. He advised them to call it defense. Don't be honest anymore. Call it the Department of Defense, because you're actually going to run giant imperial slaughter operations.
I didn't want to play the whole thing because Alex Jones and InfoWars has been such an influence in my life. I mean, this guy is right, dead on the money all the time. So I would urge you to go to Infowars.com, Prison Planet TV. Watch some of the videos. You have a subscription. It's going to open your eyes to a new world. Now again, I want to stress, get to know these things. Watch for signs. But don't scare the hell out of your constituents. Prove to them you know what you're talking about, because you will be proven right. Make predictions and stand by them. Don't cave in. Once your predictions come true, people will look up to you. I promise. Now, here's a fella who talks about Bernays. A guy you wouldn't think would talk about Bernays. And you know, he quit Fox News so he could do his own thing. And I've watched him grow up. I watched his attitude change for the better. I think he's as close to Alex Jones, and granted, he gets a lot of his information from there. I think just like Alex Jones does. Because I know I'll be reading the news, I'll be reading the headlines, and I'll say, well, hey, didn't this just... Wait a minute, let me put this together. I put the pieces together. When I get home from work, I tune into Alex Jones, I play it back, and he's talking about this exact same thing that I'm talking about. So we're on the same page. A lot of you are on the same page. But for those of you who aren't, this is a good way to get on that page. And you'll start thinking for yourself, and you'll start being able to predict things that happen in politics. And this video comes from a man who you all probably know. His name is Glenn Beck. And before you go passing judgment, just let me play the clip, and you might have a little better understanding. And then after this clip, I'm going to do a little bit of my stack of crap. My stack of news here that I've dubbed my stack of crap. And then hopefully I'll be able to get Todd on if he wants to come on. So in the meantime, Todd, why don't you ring me? Call me and ring me once if you're thinking about coming on tonight. That way I'll know, and then I won't have to second guess myself. We hope to have you on. I know people want to hear your opinion. So let me play this clip right here, and we'll wait on Todd to ring in once.
For the crowd that was in attendance, it was clear this was not the president's fault, but I don't know what they were thinking. This was a memorial. At times they reacted like it was, at best, a high school prep rally. It was approaching the debacle that was the Wellstone Memorial. I don't know if you remember that.
We are going to win this election for Paul Wellstone. We are going to win this election for Paul Wellstone. We are going to win this election for Paul Wellstone.
We will win.
It got worse from there. I don't understand when this has changed in America, celebrating the memory of somebody's life still in a dignified manner. Last night I thought was over the line. Again, not from the president. There were the T-shirts that were involved. T-shirts with the slogan, "Together We Thrived," printed on them. I've never been to a memorial where you got the commemorative T-shirt. And then they sloganized the whole memorial service. A slogan, a T-shirt, catchy phrases. Tonight I'm going to show you where this all came from and where it leads with history. I'm going to show you why I believe the 20th century is less likely to be remembered as the golden era of America if we educate ourselves, and should be remembered as the era of the big lie. what you don't know because you never... All right. Hello, America. I know you might be scratching your heads going, the big lie? What? It's quite a statement to say the last 100 years has been a lie, but it is you ask yourself if it was or not at the end of this hour.
I just wanted to interject a moment. If you don't remember who Paul Wellstone was, I believe he was the senator whose private plane crashed. It was a mystery, and they used his funeral as kind of a rally cry, which is very poor taste. And they did it again when Congresswoman Giffords was shot and Judge John Roll was killed. And they had t-shirts and everything for the event. I covered this in a news story. And very, very, very distasteful. And this is what politicians do. They take advantage of anything to get you riled up, to get you gung-ho, saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. Right now, it's the Republicans saying, anyone but Obama. Once you get that drilled in your head, you're going to vote for anyone. You don't give a damn if they're liberal or not. You just want to beat Obama. And now what I mentioned to a friend of mine today is, he says, Ron Paul can't beat Obama. I said, oh, okay. So you're going to have the guy who was beat by the guy who got beat by Obama run against Obama. That makes a lot of sense. But you know, they're doing it. They're doing it, and they got everybody on board. And you know, if you've ever been to a Republican meeting, okay, I know it. I know a lot of people, and I get respect because of what I say and who I am, not because of the asses I kiss. I don't kiss anyone's ass. I would never kiss your ass. If I like you, it's because I think you're a good guy. I don't like you because I'm kissing your ass. And this is what I'm talking about, wussies. I don't want anyone who's listening to my show, who runs for an office, to kiss anyone's ass. Ever. You're not an ass kisser, you're a leader. Act like it. We, repeat after me, we will not kiss anyone's ass to get ahead. Leaders don't do that. Alright, let me get back to the clip.
I want you to consider the current national conversation in the media. All of it that we're having, and how it's all put together, and how we react. The talk radio and conservatives are causing people to do things that are out of their personal value system. How could that happen? That someone like me or Rush or Sarah Palin would come out and say things against, let's say, the health care bill, and we could move the masses or this madman to start shooting. I don't understand it. It doesn't compute with me, and it doesn't compute with about 60% of the country. But I want you to remember one thing. If you remember one thing from this show tonight, it should be this: the truth has no agenda. And sometimes the agenda isn't nefarious, but it does affect the truth. The truth is just the truth. What's behind it? Now let me challenge, maybe at the beginning here, what you might believe. Do you believe that Americans are good and generally intelligent? I do. If you do, then you know that people make mistakes, but they'll wise up eventually, especially if they're allowed to fail, and they'll correct it. Power of opinion may be tolerated where reason is left free to combat it. Well, fix the mistakes. But if you believe that deep down, people aren't fundamentally good, when you peel back the layers, you uncover a dark side. There's where the raw desires and the needs just screaming to get out. Underneath this sheen of, where, hey, this veneer of good guy, you're an animal underneath. And that animal has to be repressed and fed in order for people to remain calm or peaceful. If you're an animal deep down and you're not really good, well, then you have to feed it, don't you? Deep down inside, the individual is an animal, and those animals also move as a pack or a herd. If you believe that the individual man really doesn't change anything, or if you believe that about him, that he's really not very good deep down inside because he's an animal, he moves as a pack, then the individual doesn't make a difference, really. It's groups of men that make the real difference. The real power is in the masses. If you can do the collective, then you got it. Now, if you believe that, you can begin to understand why some say talk radio or this network or anybody else is causing these tragic events. Because deep down, people are just animals with urges, and they'll move as a herd.
Yeah. A lot of people do move as a herd. And that's why we call them sheeple.
Where did this come from? Well, I want to show you the man who engineered and created this image of ourself and the masses. He's the father of spin. It's actually, it was called originally propaganda, not spin. Edward Bernays. He was born in Vienna in 1891. His family moved to New York City the very next year. He graduated from Cornell with a degree in agriculture, but it was journalism that was his first career. Oh, and he knew how to work it. He eventually became an ad man who changed almost everything in America, and you don't even know it. One of his first big gigs as an ad man was a publicist for a company called Beechnut. Now, you know them as the baby food company, but back then, they made meat products. They made bacon and ham. This is amazing when I found this out. You just assume things have always been this way. When I say bacon to you, what meal do you think of? What do you associate it with? Well, before Beechnut approached Bernays, bacon, believe it or not, was most associated with lunch and then dinner. Nobody ever thought of bacon for breakfast. Bacon, for breakfast was nonsense, because back then, breakfast was mainly coffee and toast. But Beechnut needed to expand. They needed to sell more bacon. So instead of saying, hey, eat bacon in the morning, which wasn't even thought of then, Bernays was hired by Beechnut, and they said, how can you help us sell more bacon? Well, he went the scientific way, because people are animals. Because people are animals. And so he needed to find the need in them. He needed to find something that would make them. So he conducted a study of Americans' eating habits. And then he managed to find a doctor who concluded that since the body loses energy at night, a more substantial breakfast was needed in the morning. This was new thinking. This was something that nobody had ever thought of. We now say the most important breakfast, or the most important meal of the day, is breakfast, right? Bernays. Because Bernays took that doctor's recommendation and then set it out to 5,000 physicians all across the country. But he also sent out something else. It was information on the newfound need for breakfast. But he put a little publicity packet together, touting Beechnut's new idea, something revolutionary. It was bacon and eggs. Bacon and eggs. Hearty breakfast. The result, the best form of advertising. Word of mouth. The doctors were reading the study that he sent, plus this new idea of putting bacon with eggs and serving it in the morning. Their patients had a nice, hearty bacon and egg breakfast in the morning. Doctor recommended that we do that, just to replenish their bodies. And Beechnut's profits skyrocketed. And the new tradition of bacon and eggs was born. And from that,
yeah. I just wanted to interrupt here for a minute. Since I don't do this every 5 seconds, it is Frothy Friday. And I'm feeling pretty good. So I want to test out a little something for you.
Ribbit.
Excuse me. You gotta have a little fun with politics. Otherwise you go nuts. Right, guys? Oh, I left out the liberals. Shut up! Alright. Let's continue, shall we?
we now have the McGriddle, the Denny's Grand Slam. It's an industry of breakfast. IHOP, all of it came from Beechnut and Bernays. I think it's funny because now the cycle is complete, because it's turning on itself. Bernays went to doctors and said, hey, can you find something to help me sell bacon? They did. And so they sold bacon, created this breakfast, and now doctors are telling us our kids are eating just too much fatty bacon. We can't do that. You should have something better for your heart. Heart healthy. Don't eat this. Eat this. While I'm here at bacon, pancakes are also here, and I have to tell you, it's taking everything in me not to eat the bacon and the hell with it. Let me show you something else. Pancakes. Have you ever seen this photo op with a politician? You know, they go and they flip the pancakes. This actually, in a way, started with Bernays. Bernays, at one time, worked for one of my favorite presidents, Calvin Coolidge. Calvin Coolidge had this reputation of being a cold, calculated, stodgy guy. Lacked personality, never really said a word, didn't joke, never cracked a smile. He needed to change that. Bernays. So, he set up breakfast. Remember, it was toast and coffee, but he set up breakfast. And here he is. I think that's Al Jolson, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But he had breakfast with all these celebrities and had the cameras ready. And he instructed Coolidge to do just this one thing. Shake hands. And smile. Well, he had the cameras there and the newspapers. And they all reported, actors eat cakes with the Coolidges. There it is. Actors crack jokes, sing songs with the Coolidges. Wow. Suddenly the Coolidges are cool. You know, because the stars are hanging. He even lent his services to politicians in other ways. If you've ever seen a photo op with a politician, like for instance, they get dressed up ridiculously in clothes they've never worn before because they want to court hunters, they do this. Yeah, no, he dresses like that all the time on Saturdays. And then somebody snaps a photo of him, you know, in the camo, carrying a gun. Man, Teresa do it all the time. Yeah. If they want to look strong and in charge, they hang out with the soldiers and shake a bunch of hands. Or if they want to look like a regular schmo, I mean, they just roll up their sleeves. They're just like you. They get out there. No. It's a photo op. Bernays. So let me go back to the big lie. The reason why I say the 20th century is the big lie is because there are things you never, ever questioned. You've just been eating bacon and eggs because you like them. You didn't know someone came up with this to sell bacon. I always thought, I mean, bacon and eggs, didn't you think our great-great-grandparents were eating bacon and eggs? But it always comes back to one guy. And it's everywhere. Cigarettes. By the way, these are not mine. Cigarettes. It seems to me that people have been smoking forever. You know? And the ads that we used to see when we were growing up on Kids, I don't think we can even show them on TV anymore, but they used to, you remember Virginia Slims? And there was some sexy woman smoking a cigarette. Well, that seemed pretty racy in the 60s. But people didn't always smoke cigarettes. They didn't, especially not women. It started in the 1920s. And it was considered taboo in the 1920s for women to smoke, especially in public. And that's when the American Tobacco Company called Bernays. And they said, we need more people to smoke cigarettes. But Bernays didn't say the last time, hey, eat bacon, it's yummy. No, no, no. He had to find the need. So it wasn't, hey, eat bacon and then chase it down with a cigarette. No, instead he found an animal spirit, a tragedy, a violation of something of that animal spirit, a raw desire of what would make people need to smoke. He found his opportunity in politics. You have to go back to 1908. New York City. I can't believe they did this. They unanimously passed an ordinance that prohibited smoking, but only for women in public. Once again, Bernays set out to change the perception on a grand scale. All he wanted to do was sell people cigarettes. That's it. And once again, he commissioned a study by a psychologist. He set out to uncover what do cigarettes actually mean to women. The conclusion? That it was actually normal for women to smoke because of the oral fixation. I want you to remember that, oral fixation, because that is really important, but we're going to come back to it. Oral fixation. Important. Then the psychiatrist said, women are suppressing their feminine desires. He argued that more women were working these days. More women weren't having kids, and so their liberation was suppressing their natural inner most feminine traits.
I'd just like to take a moment to say, Glenn, I love you, brother. Okay? I know you couldn't say everything you wanted to say at Fox. And please, don't take down this video for a copyright issue. Fox might do it, but Beck, hit me up on Skype, USFA44. Come on the show. I'd like to come on yours. We are real conservatives. And I'm going to continue with this.
So Bernays had a solution for this problem. Set women free. With this. How did he get there? Bernays paid women to smoke in a parade, believe it or not, of all things. Easter parade here in New York City. The place where women were not allowed to smoke at all. New York. As they walked down the street, and this is the footage of it, as they walked down the street, Bernays had reporters waiting, and he told all the women, when I give you the starter, and you light those cigarettes, there they are. Lift your skirt, take the cigarette out, and don't just smoke. No, don't just smoke. Hold them up. Because these weren't cigarettes anymore. In the hands of women who were being oppressed and wanted to be free, these were now torches of freedom. In New York, it was Lady Liberty. And this was front page news. Women smoking publicly in New York. These torches of freedom. Under the headline, it read, a group of girls puff at cigarettes as a gesture of freedom. This is huge. Bernays, he went and he looked at all of the women. He selected the women for his stunt. He said they needed to be good looking, but not too modelly. And he carefully oversaw how all of the pictures would be taken. The result? In 1923, women made 5% of the cigarette market share, but 1929 it was up to 12%. 1935, 18%. By 1965, women, 33%, were smoking. Now here's another one real quick. Have you ever walked into a house, and this is even my house, you ever walk into a house and there's a piano sitting there, and you say, hey, who plays the piano? And then, like I do, I go, nobody. Why do you have the piano? I haven't, no. Kids are going to play. The kids are like 40, they've moved out. Kids are going to play someday. No, they're not. No, they're not. How did that start? Bernays. Piano companies needed to sell pianos. And so he went to psychiatrists and psychologists, and he found that people could be convinced that if they put a piano in their living room, it was not only a fashion statement, but it also gave the family this air of culture. Their kids would be smarter. They were smarter. So now we seemingly buy pianos, and many of us don't play pianos. But we want to. Oh, really? Or were we taught to? Bernays, is important to understand, was not into any particular ideology. He was just more interested as an experiment, how he could change the public and their thinking, no matter what the issue. He did a lot of bad things, but he also did a lot of good things. But you need to know him for this underlying thought that people can be controlled and manipulated. He believed that that is where the real power really was. He says in his book, and I find this amazing, this is on page 1, Organizing Chaos. The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in a democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed. Our minds are molded. Tastes are formed. Our ideas suggested, largely by men we've never heard of. This is the logical result of the way in which our democratic society is organized. The unseen hand.
And I'm going to stop it right there. This is a long video. And I hope the Beck people let us keep this video up when I upload it to YouTube. I hope they don't come after us for any kind of copyright issues. I had a problem with one video. I played 30 seconds of a song and Warner shut it down. Now I understand YouTube has an obligation. They don't want to be sued for refusing to take a video down. So I'm okay with that. That's fine. So I'm going to stop it right there. But you kind of get the picture of how you guys are, not you guys, but mainstream Republicans, Democrats, you're not going to change communists and socialists because they're in on it. But you can see how the majority of the public is being manipulated. And you don't even know it. That's the problem. You need to dive into history. You need to really learn history. Just in general, the things that have been written by the politicians, because he who wins the war writes the history. I'm talking about the real history. What really happened. Those are the things you need to learn. And the only place you can hear them are on outlets like Infowars.com, Alex Jones, RTR.org, Gary Franchi's baby. And by the way, Gary Franchi, hell of a guy. He puts out some good stuff. Forgive me, this isn't the Oscars, so please forgive me if I don't mention your name, but there's a lot of people out there. SGT Bull, Doug Weed, Tom Woods. Tom Woods has a new show, and these guys aren't paying me to say this. These guys are great guys, and I'd love to have them on the show sometime. But Tom Woods got together with some professors. You can go to Tom Woods TV and see some of his commercials that he has for his new learning thing that he's launched. Of course, you have to pay, but you know, everybody's got to make a living, because these things take time. They take time and they take money. And I urge you to subscribe to these people. Pay to know what they know. These guys are really good, and you're going to learn a lot. Also, what is the name of that college? Hillsdale. Hillsdale College has an online Constitution course that you can take for free. That's been passed around in an email. I'll get you details on that. But there are all sorts of sources you can go on the internet and find. Now, you have to be careful, because there are CIA operatives, and by the way, CIA, NSA, all those government agencies employ hundreds of people to go out on the internet and put out propaganda. You don't want to get mixed up in that. I'm giving you real, viable resources. RTR.org, Infowars.com, Hillsdale, Tom Woods, Peter Schiff, who is an economic specialist, who predicted everything that happened in 2008. President of Pacific Capital. There's lots more, and we'll get into them, and we'll have them showcased here. And I hope you guys don't mind me sharing. My purpose, my sole purpose, is to educate you. And so hopefully I'm not sued by any of these people for anything. I am just trying to promote you. I believe you speak the truth, and I believe more people need to hear the truth. So forgive me. I'm doing what I think I should do, kind of like Manning did by sharing secrets with WikiLeaks. He believes in his country. He's a true soldier, and I would like all of you to support him. The list goes on, but in any case, let's move on to the stack of crap. Rush Limbaugh has his stack of stuff. I have my stack of crap. My internet is a little bit slow. It's funny, since I've been doing this stuff, it's been real slow. I don't want to yell out conspiracies. And by the way, you know, Bush coined the phrase, "Let us never tolerate crazy conspiracies." Well, Mr. Bush, with all due respect, people go to jail for conspiracies. People go away to prison for conspiracies. If there is a conspiracy, we as Americans need to call you out. And that's what we're going to do. So if you're the FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, don't bother calling my house and threatening me. You don't scare me at all. Okay? I'm here for a purpose. I'm here to save America. I am a sovereign. Yes, I go and pay for my license. Yes, I pay my taxes. Actually, I pay more than my fair share of taxes. I pay 20% more, just in case. So if you're thinking about auditing me, forget about it. And any other of those agencies that might be listening, I'm an American. I'm a true red-blooded American. I'm not a terrorist. I'm not a threat. And my listeners are red-blooded Americans. And they're not a threat. Maybe you ought to look at your bosses. Anyway, moving on. The official stack of crap. Today in the news. Sorry, I've had a few. It's Frothy Friday. Did I mention that? So there's a book out saying Stud Bin Laden used sex potion just for men. Get the hell out of here. Why do I want to read that? The Drudge Report has a picture of Obama and it says scalp and tell. I'm not even going to read that. GDP plunges 2.2%. It's bad news. That's a big drop. 8 points. Charlie Cook says the president is metrosexual. Duh. Isn't everyone? Now this is interesting. Republicans prepare contempt citation against Holder. And let me tell you why Republicans aren't going after Holder as hard as they could. Because the whole Fast and Furious thing was happening under Bush. Republicans aren't going to go there. Okay? They are beholden to the party, to the establishment party, and they're not going to go there. Trust me on that. What else is in the news? Secret Service. Once again, I told you they want to privatize the Secret Service. They're going to keep this thing going. Secret Service, these men would die for the president. There's no doubt about it. They're entitled to have their fun. Granted, it was not a good idea to have prostitutes in the room while you have the president's itinerary in your room. That's a big no-no. But as far as having a little fun, you're in Colombia. You know, different countries have different rules. Boys will have their toys. They're going to have fun. I support the Secret Service. Amen, gentlemen. You're doing a fine job. Jellyfish-like organisms shut down a California power plant. Police make arrest in justice for Trayvon beating. If you didn't hear, a white man was beat by a bunch of blacks who said it was justice for Trayvon. Zimmerman is not white, he is Hispanic. It just goes to show you how dumb people really are. And if you come to my house, I got a present for you. So don't even think about coming on my porch. Marine murdered his wife. Why does it matter that he was a Marine? You know, there's nuts all over. Biden. His words never cease to amaze me. This CFR crazy man says that donors look dull as hell and they pretend to like him. Of course they pretend to like him. They're kissing his ass. They're sucking on the power teat. He knows what's going on. You guys know what's going on. I'm not kissing anyone's ass, like I said before. It's been confirmed by the DOD that Russian troops are coming here to train to attack terrorists. And as I've told you, we are the terrorists. We are the sovereigns. We're the only people left who give a damn about the Constitution, and they want to get rid of us. And the Russians are all too happy to help. Any foreign army, any foreign entity that sees the U.S. as an enemy is happy to get rid of us freedom-loving individuals. But I got a message for you guys, the Russian troops, the Chinese troops, anyone who comes here and trains with our military in hopes of coming after us door to door. We're gonna whoop your ass. Signed, the American Patriots. A crazy nutjob teacher tells her students that the NRA wants porch monkeys to die. Now, porch monkeys was a term used to describe black people a long time ago. We don't use that kind of language anymore, and anybody who does is clearly a racist fruitcake. So that takes care of that headline. And a state seeks the okay to kill a federally protected bird in order to protect an endangered fish. I thought these guys believed in evolution, survival of the fittest. If the fish dies, it dies. I mean, the bird will find something else to eat and life will go on. So, how is that news? I don't know. People suing people for stupid things. Astronomers find a new planet capable of supporting life. There are trillions, quadrillions of planets out there. We haven't even scraped the surface.
Ribbit.
Excuse me. Once again, it is Frothy Friday. We're having a good time here. That's what this show is all about. Getting you involved, teaching you how to run for office, building up your self-esteem balloon, and calling the idiots out. A woman tries to live on sunlight and died. Who didn't see that coming? But you know, once again, survival of the fittest. If you're an idiot, that's what happens. Call me, I don't know, call me whatever the hell you want. I find that funny. If you want to call me cold-hearted, I don't care. My buddy Todd, extreme Republican, but I gotta tell you, I love this guy. This guy is a hell of a guy, and I'm sure he's ready for Frothy Friday. And Todd, I'm gonna give you about 10 seconds to run to your fridge and grab a fresh beer. Todd's been having some trouble with his roof. It got blown off. We had some weather up here, and so he hasn't been on the last couple of nights. But Todd, you rock, brother. I'm gonna have you on in about 10 seconds. I want to cover a few other things, and then I'm gonna get Todd on. Actually, I'm just gonna count to 10, and then I'm gonna have Todd on. He's probably got to go to bed. How about them Browns? I've been thinking about the picks that the Browns made in the first round, and yes, I'm a big Browns fan. Well, the past couple of years, I've been pretty pissed off. Kept trading their picks down, and I was pretty upset. But this year, I think they did a pretty good job. Hopefully, they'll give me a Lowe's seat, because once you sit in Lowe's, I'm telling you, there's nothing like it. I had the opportunity to sit in Lowe's with a buddy of mine who is a big executive at a company I won't name. But these loges have heated seats outside. The heaters are up above, and you can sit outside in a t-shirt and not be cold in 0-degree weather. And it's the best thing that's ever happened to me sports wise. Inside they've got internet, they've got drinks. We never ran out of Jack Daniels. Had a buddy of mine fly in from St. Louis and another buddy from Florida. We all got together and had a real good time in Cleveland that night. And if you ever get a chance to come up to Cleveland, check out the Warehouse District. Very nice, very upscale, very tasteful. Cleveland is not as bad anymore as they say, and they've got a new casino that's going to be opening up, and it's really changing for the better. And I thank a man, Mike Trevisano, for that. He had the idea to develop the lakefront, and the local politicians agreed with him, and that's what they're going to do. So I would advise anyone, if you're out to have a good time, head out there. And I'm going to give Todd a call. Todd, have your beer ready. Be ready to crack it open. And let's see if Todd's going to answer here. That's 4 rings, and Todd did not answer. Let me see if I can get a hold of him. Give me just a couple seconds here. I want to get a hold of Todd. He might have just left his computer on. He probably got bored with the show. That's what happened. I do not like this Facebook, this new timeline. This is crap. Todd is our official tech guy. So I just sent Todd a message. Hey, get your ass on the show.
Ribbit.
We'll see if he comes on. I know I sound like a fool, guys, but it's Frothy Friday. This is what we do on Friday. We're talking politics. We're drinking beer. That's what red-blooded Americans do. We have a good time. And we'll see if we can't get Todd on the line. There were a few other things I want to talk about while we're waiting. And you know what? Let me see if I can find any good news. We're always on the lookout for good news. So I'm gonna... Oh, I did want to mention that Tampa Bay politicians, where the RNC is going to have their convention, they want to suspend the concealed carry rights for the convention. Now, the RNC is supposed to promote the Second Amendment, correct? They're supposed to be for your right to carry. Why would they then want to suspend your right to carry during the convention. I don't understand that at all. And let me tell you why. Because they're globalists. They are the globalists. We are the sovereigns. The only reason we have the concealed carry permit, now listen up guys, there is no law, at least in the state of Ohio, that says you cannot carry a gun on your hip. You can open carry all day long. Now, if you have an unconstitutional sheriff, he will try to charge you with inciting a riot because you're going to scare the hell out of people when he put that gun on your side, because they're not used to it. But you know, back in the old days, we taught kids how to shoot guns as young as 12 years old. Most schools. But somehow, and it probably had something to do with Edward Bernays, we have been accustomed to people not carrying guns. So a lot of people don't know that it's perfectly legal to carry a gun on your hip. You don't need a concealed carry license. But they urge you to get a concealed carry license, because once everybody has a concealed carry license, then the government can say they gave you that right and they can take it away. You see what I'm getting at? This is the only country in the world where your rights are derived from your God. They're not given out by your government. They're given to you by your God. In Australia, they had their guns taken away because their right to bear arms was given by their government. They don't have guns in Europe. They're not allowed. We have guns. And in order for a dictator to enslave the people, he needs your guns, he or she. So when you start giving up that right, I would encourage, I'm going to go right out and say it, I would encourage everyone to carry a gun on your hip. There's no law against it. Get yourself a good lawyer though. Pay the $1,500 for a retainer, because you're going to need it to fight it, but you're going to win. And if it means paying $1,500, then that's what we got to do. That's the way they set up the system. That's what we've accepted. And so we're going to have to pay that $1,500 and fight these bastards. Because that sheriff cannot charge you with inciting a riot. You didn't do anything. You were exercising your Second Amendment right. Screw him or her. We can't be gender biased. I'm going to try Todd again. I hope he picks up, because I really like to get Todd on tonight. Well, it looks like Todd's not coming on tonight. He says he's online, he just isn't answering. That's okay. We've been in this almost an hour and a half already. I'm looking for something educational while we're waiting for Todd. But if you didn't know, I talked about last night, the House passed CISPA, the new SOPA, which essentially is an internet takeover, and really cuts into your Fourth Amendment right. And where I live, we have a representative in Congress named Stephen LaTourette, who also voted for the NDAA and voted for CISPA. And some people have been saying for a while that he needs to go. Some people were on the fence. I was thinking about running against him. But I think you would need a pretty big war chest to run against LaTourette. So, if anyone wants to see a constitutional congressman in office, I would urge you now to go to my website, www.CitizenUprizing.com. Large donation to me. If I get enough large donations, I will run for Congress. It's up to you guys. What do you want? You want a constitutional man in there? Or do you want a guy who votes for things like NDAA and CISPA? Your choice. Bilderberg. It's been confirmed that the Bilderberg group will meet in Virginia this year. They've gotten the location. I will post it as news becomes available. We did beat the Department of Labor, who tried to say that children could not work on farms. They backed down from that. We were able to beat them. What else? Man, I really want to get Todd on, but he's just not answering. And I don't see anybody else willing to step up to the plate. I wish more people would call in so we could have a real conversation. But I'm afraid I may have to wrap tonight up. Yep, Todd is not coming on the show tonight. I don't know what's going on. We actually didn't plan for him to come on the show. I just saw that he was online and wanted to try to get him on because Todd is a great co-host. You ever get a chance to hear him, I want you to hear Todd. He is the mainstream Republican who was going to vote for Gingrich, who decided now to vote for Mitt Romney. And so it's always good to have that insight. And I think we're going to call it a night. And I hope that you tune in on Sunday. We'll have a little bit more to talk about. And just want to wish you well, and God bless.